Here in New Brunswick, we don't think of orange groves or growing oranges and citrus, but in this video, that's what we're going to discuss, your possibilities. Here you will see the buds and the flower of an orange. The variegated one we're looking at has the fragrance is so special on these. They're used to make perfumes, and they have that's their start towards a plant that's going to produce fruit. It's more common to see them with green leaves like the one we're looking at here. And you'll sometimes have your fruit ripening and your new buds forming. Here you can see little starts of the fruit that are just starting to develop. With growing these indoors, you're probably going to find that you have to do your own pollinating. You know, a little cotton swab, and you can move the pollen from one bloom to the next. And on this plant, you'll see some of the really tight green fruit developing, and moving up to a size that's almost starting to show some color. And at the same time, some of the later blossoms, very, very tiny little fruit starting. You have to be careful not to knock this off when you're working around the plants. Here's one that's starting to show some color. The dwarf orange, a lot of them are really bitter, and they don't actually give you the flavor of a clementine or something like that. But I shouldn't say that. They have flavor like you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe how beautiful these fruit are if you're a cook and like to work them into like a lemon bread or something like that. You can get the nicest orange flavor with these. And you could also be growing lemons or limes. Unfortunately, just at the moment, we don't have fruit to show you on the plants, but we have a really nice group of citrus coming in, and we will have a real good selection. Just missed it by a couple of days. If you are considering growing citrus, three things you might want to consider is they're tropical, so they really don't want to drop below 65 degrees, and they really like a really good light area. So if you had a sun porch, or you're one of the lucky people that has a greenhouse attached, you know you're off to the races. But next comes a good, maybe south-facing window with a high light level, so you can get them close to the window and produce lots of light. They're also sensitive to water. You can overwater a citrus plant. They want a constant moisture, but they really want to have just an even moisture. So it doesn't hurt to mist them. You can get a little shock on your first plant. In the dark months, they often lose some of their foliage. It's quite common to have them drop a lot of leaves at one time in the dark months. And that's not a bad thing, because that's sort of their nature. They are an evergreen, and they generally hold their leaves year-round. But when we get these really low light times, as long as your wood is pliable and fresh, then it's very, very likely that they're going to produce new leaves in a very short time. So keep your light up, lots of even moisture. I shouldn't say lots of moisture. Keep the temperature. Now you can put them out in summer on your patio, but you watch for that temperature. Maybe even cover them or bring them in if we are forecasting a really low night. But what a delight to have an orange plant or a citrus, lime, lemon sitting right on the porch. I mean, when they develop, the dwarf oranges produce very small fruit, but the limes and lemons will be full size, or grapefruit. So you could have a small tree like this, and you'd have to really support the branches, because the fruit's going to hang down so heavily. You have to be very careful not to break your plant with the fruit they'll produce, because and we're within a very short period of time, we're going to have a new shipment of a variety of different ones. Caledonia dwarf oranges are popular, but there's also going to be limes, lemons, and just a nice group of different types of citrus. So a real pleasure to grow inside. And the fragrance of those blooms, you know, it's special. You know, it's really a nice fragrance. So you have the juices and the fragrance and you know, just an all-round nice houseplant. Remember, in the dark months, it's not uncommon for them to lose a leaf or two. So if you get one that's getting a little bit yellow on the edges, just remove it carefully, and it'll make the plant look healthier, and it'll continue to develop new leaves and flowers. They'll often be losing leaves when they're producing their blossoms, and you'll just get a little tiny leaf starting out like this one, and in a very short time you've got a healthy large leaf. This one's a variegated one, so when the young leaf looks almost transparent, but really it's very attractive in having the bicolor as opposed to the straight green, but that's preference. Some people love the green, dark green foliage, and look at the blossom on this plant. You know, that and again, if your blossoms, you try not to knock them off, but if they're for some reason they've got a discoloration in them, you could remove them, but remember, that's your fruit, so you have to treat it with respect. So in closing, come in and choose a really healthy plant. Take that plant home carefully, so you keep it warm as you're transporting it. Very important. Give it that light, a good bright light area, and you know, watch the water. Don't overwater, and you know, make sure it has sufficient water. Then you know, watch for drafts. Like, try not to chill it. Those temperature, light, and moisture are so important with these. If you want to learn more about citrus, go to scottsnursery.tv, and remember to like and share.